This is like the first book I feel that I have read that is just making me giddy when I think of it, because I could just see myself picking this up over and over again. Hey Bookworms! Mom here, aka Sarah and
Char.
And today we're going to be doing our February wrap-up, you guys, to show you the books that we got through in the month of February.
Yes. So this month's theme was Valentine's Day, romance, obviously, and also Black History Month. So we wanted to read books surrounding Black people.
Yeah, and so it was a tricky month, honestly, for me, because at least from my end, I think it was tricky for both of us from what I observed. No shade, okay? But whoa! Originally we had our list set out, but this month did not go that easily for me. From having a couple DNF to just not even getting to some of my books and picking up other ones. Yeah, it was a big hot mess, but your girl still did a lot of reading.
For me, okay, I spent like half the month, I don't want to get into it, I'll get into it later, but like, let me just say, I feel like I wasted half the month. I wasted half the month, and I really I went to like a reading slump like halfway through.
Oh, okay, so we're gonna start things off with me. Okay, so these are the books that I got into. I also have been reading 2 on my Kindle, one of which I'm 85% done, the other I am like around 60, but let's get into it. I'll explain as I go along. So the first one that I read is Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry. I really wanted to get into this. I heard a lot of great things, and honestly, it lived up to its expectation. This book brought me all the way back to high school. Like, though I didn't experience the things that the main characters, I should say, Quinn and Carter, because it's like high school romance, which was between them. But though I didn't experience any of what like the main character Quinn herself experienced, because the book was more featured around her, and then Carter was like the, you know, like the second character. I could totally relate in just many different ways. She basically just dealt with just the insecurities and the different things that teenagers may feel and go through, especially being a girl. The main point of the book is just her going through her journey throughout high school and just having her journal stolen and then being blackmailed. Basically, that's like the base of the novel. So she spends a lot of the times throughout the novel like trying to figure that out, who's got her journal, and the individual who stole it had her basically try to accomplish certain things that she had written down on a very secretive list, which was only, of course, featured in her journal, which she never expected anyone else to read. And yeah, you can only imagine from there on out. Overall, it was a really good story. By the end of the book, she becomes so confident. She stands up for herself. There's different subject matters in here surrounding racism, surrounding classism, surrounding just the different things that teenagers deal with, and just having to stand up for herself in many different ways. Overall, I gave this book a 4. It could have easily have been like a 5-star read, I think, but you know, while I connected with the story being like back in high school, I'm a grown adult at this point, so it was like, oh, okay, there's certain parts I'm like, okay. Yeah, so I feel like anyone could pick this one up. It's a really good read. There's lots of good lots of feel-good moments in there as well. Like that moments? Yeah, exactly.
Got through that one pretty fast. I remember that.
I did.
Yeah, you like speeding through, yo.
I was just like, I started this book, and by the time you turn around, I was basically done.
Literally.
So, yeah, I like, honestly, I don't even have to say, I could just pick this up and say 5-star. Done. 5-star, 5-star, all the way. I went into this pretty excited because all of what I heard were amazing things, and this book lived up to every expectation. So the book's about this couple, Jasmine and Josiah, and they're a married couple, and honestly, the way their romance starts off, the way their journey begins, it's just so cute. But of course, like, that's the honeymoon phase of every relationship. As life progresses, things kind of transpires differently, and the couple endures certain things and have like certain setbacks that they just couldn't recover from. And this book touches base on like depression and things like that, because the female character experiences that throughout, and that was a big part of the challenges faced in their marriage as to why it couldn't survive. After they've had their divorce and the couple is trying to move on, they are they're kind of like, their relationship is kind of like magnetic. They keep getting drawn to each other despite, no matter how hard they try to move on. And that part is really nice to see. Like in the midst of that, there's a lot of blossoming, there's a lot of growth, there's a lot of overcoming, because even like Josiah himself, there were things that he struggled with that he just couldn't foresee or think outside the box with, in terms of like even things like counseling and different things like that. And even he showed so much growth towards the end. And I really love the way Kennedy Ryan wrote this book. Like it just, the writing is so smooth, and it's so mature. Like it's mature but not, like it's not, doesn't, you know what I mean? It's mature, but it's like very like, anyone could pick it up and just read it and just connect, and just, it was absolutely like absolute perfection in a book. I didn't want this book to be done, and when I was done, I'm like, book 2. I went on the hunt for book 2. This book was amazing. Before this, I remember I was talking about a book. We were talking about, like, you, me, and Dad, we were talking about how many times do I reread books, because I am not one to reread stuff a lot, but I could see myself reread. This is like the first book I feel that I have read that is just making me giddy when I think of it, because I could just see myself picking this up over and over again. It was just honestly amazing, and I just love the journey of the couple, and I just love their ability to overcome. But it's just unfortunate sometimes in life, it takes grief and takes various things, traumas, and just, you know, those negative experiences to overcome, just to overcome and to grow. But such a great book. Okay, so another book that I read, this was an impromptu book, was never on my TBR. Yeah, that happened.
Look, okay, when she started this book, I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, I'm like 75% of the way in. I have like a little bit left. I'm like,
I know.
What?
I know.
Because she did not tell me she started this book.
I didn't. Why? You know what? Because after experiencing a reading slump back in January, I was like, okay, I don't want to be stuck. And when I felt like I was coming to a place because of the next book I'm going to show you, I was just like, oh, okay, like what do I do? What do I pick out next? So I went book hunting and got drawn to this book. I ordered a bunch of books. It was supposed to come and I was supposed to start it. So what had happened was, I started listening to it through on audio, and I just fell in love. I was just like, oh, this is great. What I love about it is that the main character, Vanessa, she's like in her 40s, and that is very rare from all of the romance that I've been reading so far. Very rare. Seldom do you ever, I don't think I have ever really encountered a character that's in her 40s. So this book was beyond relatable for me, you know? And so she's a recent divorcee and basically going through the motion of like just trying to rebuild her life and overcome some of the traumas from her previous marriage. And then this guy right here, like, he just kind of comes in very out of the blue, and it had nothing to do with Vanessa. He came in for something totally unrelated in a sense, but it was connected to Vanessa's ex. I'm not about to give you guys spoilers, but then look what happens. Look what happens. Not to mention the cover is giving, absolutely giving. It's such a beautiful cover. So the chemistry shown here is the chemistry that took place in this book. Like, what a lovely book. One thing I did say to you though was that the audio just was not the way they portrayed him. I understand, like, from what I've heard, and I don't, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like a lot of Korean men, like, they're very stern and very, like, you know,
kind of just like
not
as expressive.
Yeah, not as expressive. And so I think they were trying to achieve that with him, but I didn't like what they did to him. They made him more like very rigid per se, and he didn't come up like they almost made him robotic in the audio, and I kind of wished I was like just praying for my book to come so I could finish it like that. But honestly, the story was so captivating that I had to keep listening, and I was done the book in like 24 hours before the book arrived, because the book still took so long to get here. We're not going to even talk about that, but great book. I think I gave it a 3.5 before, but yeah, like, I think it's still like a 3.5, but I could say 4 just because of the feel good. I could just give it a 4 because it was such a feel good book. But in terms of, yeah, and it's got spice in there if you guys don't want spice. Like, there's some spice in there. The spice was in there, but it wasn't it was far and few in between. It wasn't very frequent per se, but yeah, overall it was a great read. The only reason why I was giving it like a 3.5 initially is just because it really is somewhat of a fluffy romance, but I feel like it felt like it had more depth to it just because the women sounded so real. The women were, you know, at like, you know, in their mid 40s, something like very relatable to women, you know, that are at that age as well, and just like their experiences and all that they went through just seemed so real.
It just, yeah, it didn't try to sugarcoat
it. Didn't sugarcoat it, so it didn't sound like super fluffy and like, you know, ditzy or stuff like that.
Like actual.
Yeah, it was very, very good, guys. Okay, so the next one that I read is Only for a Week by Natasha Bishop. This was my first book by her, and I was ecstatic to read her because, once again, another book that I've never read, and it was, honestly guys, this is like my first time getting to indulge in all these Black author books, that because I never see them here. We don't see them in Indigo, and that was like the main place that I went shopping for books. And I also do not see any type, like I seldom ever see like Black author books when I go thrifting. So yeah, I had to buy these online on Amazon and stuff like that. Anyways, this one I actually got on my Kindle. It was featured on Kindle Unlimited, and I got to read it on there, and I am still not done. But I'm mentioning it because I already know it's a 5-star read for me. Just the characters, just the setting. This one's featured around a couple, Rome and Janelle, and they're in Tulum on vacation for Janelle's sister's wedding. And I'm not going to go into too many details, but the idea is Janelle's sister is marrying her ex, and you can only imagine the drama that takes place from there. It's just like the different scenarios that you can think that might occur if your sister is marrying your ex-boyfriend.
So it's just more like awkward.
It's awkward. It's probably a lot more awkwardness. Very good writing style. I am definitely intrigued by Natasha Bishop's writing, and yeah, it's just interesting also just hearing the characters banter back and forth and the way they talk. Like, it just felt so relatable. It felt relatable. I really enjoyed that book. So I'm very much at the end, and I haven't finished the end yet, but honestly, I don't think there's anything that can happen at the end that's not gonna make me give it a 5-star, because I just feel like I've gotten my 5-star all the way up until now. Like, I'm like, you know what? It's gonna be a 5-star right where it's at 87%. I'm not gonna be disappointed. Like, I just won't. Another one that I started, which was very impromptu, was The Fine Print. I am 90% done The Fine Print. I'm including it in here because honestly, by the time my March read comes around, it's going to be very much done. It's just one of those books that's just easy to read, and it's one of those books that's been on my TBR for a while. So this one is about this girl who is like basically working for a billionaire. Actually, she falls in love with like the son. It was more like the grandson of the billionaire, because the grandfather is the one who acquired the wealth and is, you know, yeah, so it's not, yeah, basically when the grandfather passes, he has like different wishes that he wants for his grandsons before they can inherit their wealth, and so they then have these various missions that they have to complete. And Rome, who book 1 is featured around, he falls in love with Zara, and it's just kind of like a roller coaster ride. It's basically Grumpy meets Sunshine, because this girl is Sunshine, and I can, you know, I don't mind that trope. I think I can like that trope. I find it to be light and airy, but after a while, especially with like a big thick book, it can get annoying. Yeah, when Sunshine is just too sunshiny for me.
Okay, you know what? I was experienced with that trope. I don't think I've ever really read it, but it's always just like, okay, the Grumpy and the Sunshine, something happens, and then the Sunshine becomes the Grumpy, and then the Grumpy has to be, I don't know, it always just switches out there. Yeah,
I'm there.
That's like the blueprint for that kind of trope.
Yeah. But this one is, because this one is so long, the books are big. If you've seen the fine print, they're thick and big. They are thick. So it's like a roller coaster ride of even getting to that point. I'm 90% in, and now the Sunshine is literally becoming the Grumpy at 90%. you know what I mean? Where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, whoa, she snapped. I never seen her act like that
Oh
before.
my.
You know, classic romance, and it's like, you know, it can be cheesy and overly cheesy, and once it starts getting a little overly cheesy, that's when it's a little too much for me. So it started doing that in many ways, but honestly, the story I really loved. I love that the fact that the main character's sister, she has Down syndrome. And I love that they featured, you know, just the way, I was gonna say feature her, like she's like a real person.
Yeah.
But just the way, I just loved
They
how they
actually
made
incorporate.
it. Yeah, they incorporated it and just made her story just like her. And I loved her character. And I love that they just charactered her with her personality. And after us watching like, what's it called?
Love on the Spectrum?
Yeah, after watching like Love in the Spectrum, like, oh my gosh, we've watched that and just getting to understand and know about like knowing people with their challenges, with their disabilities and stuff, and just seeing all the various personalities, like
Exactly.
it just makes you, it opens you up and you understand. So I just love that so much in the book. And honestly, the book, it's a really good read. I think in my head I want to give it like a 3.5, but I feel like I still, yeah, like I feel like I want to keep it there just because I know what I felt when I felt the 5.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a very addicting type of read. Like it just makes you, I'm like, book 2, where are you? Like I need to have book 2 now. That's it for all the books that I read and the 2 that I'm basically at the tip of wrapping up. I'm at the end with. And then there were 2 that I picked up that I don't know what happened, y'all. I just had to DNF. I couldn't finish them. The first one being this one, The No-Show by Beth O'Leary. I've heard that Beth O'Leary is a really good writer. I've never read any of her books. At least I can't recall. Maybe I have and I don't recall, but I had high hopes for this because I left this for Valentine's Day. Well, I didn't leave it for Valentine's Day, but it was the first read just because I wanted to read it and make sure it was wrapped up before Valentine's Day, and
Yeah.
I wasn't reading it after because of the setting. So I explained it before. It's basically about a guy who is you know, he is dating these 3 women and he doesn't show up for any of them. I couldn't really tell you the depth of the story outside of that because the first 3 chapters that I was reading was like, I felt like I was on the struggle bus. It was just going between all these characters and it was taking such a long time explaining them, and the way the writing style, I was just not connecting, and I found myself having to go back and reread, and I was like, what in the world is happening? Then I gave it to Charlotte because I read it and I said, here, girl, like you read this and tell me what you think. And what did you think?
I had the same experience. Like, there were these really weird sentences that made no sense in the book whatsoever.
Yeah.
And you didn't really get to connect the characters that much. You
No.
know? Like, it was just like they were written. I mean, obviously they were written, but it's just like it's kind of like their personalities were pasted on.
Yeah.
But like, you didn't really get to understand them that much.
Exactly. And I don't know if I'm really loving those. So, okay, so I understand the concept of going back and forth between characters, but I wasn't loving the way it was. I just don't know. I don't know. I wasn't connecting. It's just like, you know. But anyways, the next one that I picked up is Black Girls Must Die Exhausted. And I don't know what it is. I read, I think, 30 something pages. I know that's not enough to kind of fully gauge maybe, but honestly, I just wasn't feeling it. Like the first 31 pages in, I was like, like, I don't know. I just didn't know. Yeah, I just feel like it's not what I thought it was. Black Girls Must Die Exhausted. I didn't think, first of all, we're talking about plural girls here. So I'm thinking that the book's going to be about a lot of black girls, but the book's really about this one girl sharing her story of like the, you know, I guess basically like the day her life changed, and it surrounding like fertility stuff and surrounding I don't know, like it probably goes more in depth, but I kept pushing through, and then I felt so, I think because I'm a black girl and I said I wanted to read this book, just to even read this book, I put a lot of pressure on myself. I was just like, read it. Just gonna put it to rest for a little bit and then we will come back to it.
Now it's time for the books that I read in February, and I'm going to be going in order. So this one wasn't really part of like the theme, but I had started it back in January and I wanted to finish it. So That book is The Thief. And guys, I couldn't put this one down. It was so good, y'all. I give this one like a 5-star.
Oh, nice.
Like, that's how good it was. And it's really funny because this is one that I've been wanting to read for a while. But I was like, I couldn't get past page like maybe like 30 or something. Because it was just kind of, it was a slow, it starts out really slow, but once you get into it, it gets so good. And it's about this guy named Jen, and basically he was in prison, and then he got the task of actually stealing this jewel, kind of, or this gem for the king. And so he is so funny in this book. He's like so sarcastic, and you just have to love him. You can't not love him. But this book was awesome. And the plot twist had me at the end. There's this huge plot twist, y'all, and I did not expect it at all. But it was awesome, and it was great. And it made it the 5-star that it was.
Oh, that's good.
Really good book. Really happy.
Nice. So we both had a 5-star.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next book. Okay, this is interesting. The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk. Okay, now. Oh, by Sue Monk Kid.
I was about to say, I was like, I thought it was always Sue Monk Kid.
Yeah. But okay, I didn't actually get to finish this one, guys, okay? I was like 2/3 of the way through. I think I'm gonna still finish it at some point, but I think it was just really difficult to go from like a fantasy read, like a high action fantasy read, to like just like a normal contemporary paced book.
It's amazing the simplest of things that can put you in a reading slump.
Literally. And I spent most of February, I spent half of February trying to read this one book. And it's so funny because so many of you guys commented and you're like,
it's so good.
Secret Life of Bees is an awesome book. Like, I loved it. And I'm like, wow, you're really making me want to read it, but it's so hard right now.
And then exactly, and then I saw you make your shift, and you were just like, you're like galloping.
I was like, if I hadn't spent so much time reading this, I would have read so many more books.
You would have read so many more books.
But I'm not gonna give up on this.
So is this gonna be on your TBR? Are you putting this on your TBR, or are you it's just something that you will finish?
This is something I will finish. It's not going on my TBR anytime soon. I'm sorry. I will finish it at some point, but
yeah, I can relate because I too had that one, and it just feels like I just need to give it a break so it doesn't just still feel so fresh.
Yeah.
In terms of you know.
So it wasn't bad. It was still good. I'd give it like from where I was at, like a 3.5.
Okay, that's not bad.
It's not bad. No, it's not bad. So I wanted to read something that would get me out of that slump, and so I picked up The Red Pencil. Guys, so cute. Okay, so this book was actually written in like poetry and like prose, and so I was like, this is gonna be simple to get through, and I read it in like a day. So that was great. You know?
Yeah, you read it in like hours, really.
yeah. And so the story's about like this girl in her village, and it gets raided, right? And so she has to go to this whole other place, and she doesn't like it there. And it's about her wanting to go to school, not wanting these bad things to happen to her, and how she copes with that.
Oh, okay.
Right? And it's actually a really beautiful read. I like the metaphors and stuff that take place, or that the author uses to describe what's happening, right? And it's really beautiful. The ending was like really open-ended, and I didn't exactly like that. Like, I wanted to know what happened to this girl. Like, give me something, you know? Like, at least tell me that she's okay. But I gave it like a 3.5 star for that. But yeah, I think it was a pretty good book. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
So after The Red Pencil, I picked up Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute, and y'all, this book was so cute. My goodness. Okay.
Mind you, this is a book, if you guys remember when we first came on here, this was the book that I bought her, and then she was like, I'm not sure about it. We just didn't know, and then now that she loves it.
Now I need to get another copy.
So this copy, tell them.
So this is Mom's library copy.
Yeah.
So.
Because she said that I would absolutely love it too. She started reading it. You read it from the library, but.
Yeah, I literally read it in like 3 days. It was so good, y'all.
But you read it in like.
I read it on
digital copy.
Digital copy. Yeah. And y'all know I don't really like reading digital like online books, but I I read it and I got through it so fast. It's such a fun book. And I love like the British humor because it takes place in the UK and stuff, and they are so funny. Like the banter, oh my goodness. And these two are hilarious. So it's about these two friends, Bradley and Celine, and they used to be best friends, but now they hate each other.
Did you point to Celine as Bradley? and Bradley as Celine. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, so Bradley and Celine. Bradley basically kind of ditched her to go to be cool. And then, so now they hate each other. They're enemies, right? And they basically kind of, on the back it says that they join up. They didn't really join up, but they sort of become friends again because they're both going after the scholarship, which you have to go camping to receive. That's basically just like it to like the minimum.
And that's interesting. Do they actually enjoy camping?
No, so Bradley has OCD and he's obsessed with like being clean, and so he absolutely hates camping. Yeah. And I love the way they actually like write how he thinks too, because I read a review on it and someone was like, they Talia, what's her name?
Hibbert.
Oh yeah, Talia Hibbert portrays OCD like so well, because I think she herself also has it.
Okay. But
it's honestly, it's such a good book. They are both hilarious, guys. You both have to go and read that.
I asked about the camping thing because I read Talia Hibbert's Get a Life, Chloe Brown.
Yeah.
And the main character had a bucket list of things that she wanted to do, and one was to go camping, because she herself had a illness. What was it called?
Oh, great. It was something with the bones, right?
Yeah. I can't recall what it is that she had now, but it prevented her from like being able to do a lot of things because she was always in like a lot of pain. She met this guy and fell in love, who then kind of encouraged her to work through her list, and he did it. He kind of went through the list with her. Yeah. I just thought it was interesting because as a Black girl, she didn't like to go camping, and that was something that she just thought was like she thought it was like something monumental. Like,
yeah, like out of this world, crazy.
This world, like, yeah. Oh my gosh. So
that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, so Bradley has like OCD, and then she is obsessed with like like theories and like, you know, alien conspiracies and things like that. So she's also hilarious. They're equally funny in this book, and honestly, I gave this one like a 4.5 star. It was awesome. So after that book, I picked up Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds.
Where'd you get this one?
For my birthday, I think.
Oh, okay. Maybe? Yeah.
This is one book that I had actually started reading before, and I got like 3/4 of the way through, and I stopped for some reason. But I picked it up again because I'm like, this book was awesome. I don't know why I put it down. I'm just crazy like that, I guess. But basically it's about this guy named Jack, and he meets like the girl of his dreams, but she has this disease called sickle cell, right? And she dies from it in the book, and this somehow causes Jack to go back in time to when they first met, and it's basically like how he saves this girl.
Oh wow.
It was a really, I mean, like that premise.
I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
That premise sounds like it's like more serious, but this book is actually hilarious.
It's not. Oh
like,
wow.
Jack is like, he's a comedy. Wait, what do you call him?
He's a comedian.
He's a comedian.
Yeah.
Jack is a comedian in this book, and it's awesome. One thing about it was like a little repetitive. I mean, I guess you can kind of expect that because the guy keeps living through the same months over and over. It's like Groundhog Day.
I was gonna say, given the context.
Right? But, yeah, I feel like something could have been done to make it less repetitive, maybe. Fun book. I gave it like a 4-star in the end.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I would recommend this. Highly recommend.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to read this one now, so. I love the cover. The covers of some of your books are really, really nice.
Right?
I'm like, that's like one of the things for me now. One thing I think we discovered throughout reading this month is that we're mood readers. Yeah. Because we both kind of did the same thing. We both kind of DNF'd a couple of books, or maybe just one. I don't know. But found that when I was like in a certain mood and I just I couldn't get through it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
No, I totally understand that. It's like, if you feel like you want to read something, then you have to go read that.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not, then the other book that you're currently reading then you're not going to want to do it. It's going to be so slow, you're going to drag it out.
You're going to drag it out.
And it's going to feel painful.
It will. And the thing is, for me, I'm one of those people, I push myself, right?
Yeah.
You've seen me do that. I just like drag it on and drag it on. And I wait till it gets to the point where it's like just ridiculously painful. And then I'm like, okay, I can't. I can't.
Mom's just like, I'm done with this.
So that's why this month I was like, you know what? Like, I want to just get through, you know, the books, and I'm not gonna do what I did last month. Luckily it was close together that I had enough time to feel like I could learn from my mistake and not just continue it moving forward.
Exactly.
And it allowed for me to read some books I didn't even imagine reading the whole fine print throughout this month. And I did listen to audios for parts as I'm, you know, doing house stuff. I like to do that if I'm washing dishes or cooking or stuff like that, but I really enjoyed reading it. The funny part is, like, I found audio is interesting to listen to, especially if it's good, and so the audio for that is actually really good. However, I read a lot faster than the audio, and had I been reading it myself, I would have been done even faster because it's really like intriguing. So yeah.
Hey bookworms, Mom and I totally forgot to film an outro for the end of this video, so here it is. We wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching this video, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more content, and bye!